a song.
Fuck me.
I heard if you keep rubbing it, it gets better.
That's what she said.
And then you wipe it all over yourself.
All right. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Press X Podcast, episode 113, your weekly podcast. What?
I read the game based on the movie, based on the game.
Man, we're starting off hot.
I am Kevin McManus. With
Please
me,
drink more.
Todd Broussard,
Hey.
Nick Hassell.
I missed the joke.
Today, we are going to be talking about the amazing PlayStation Plus free game offering, as well as some other news with PlayStation Plus. We've got some interesting Xbox One X news in particular, and a big slip up on somebody's part for a demo of Yakuza, but we will get there in good time.
I was going to say we just have Xbox One news.
Yeah,
Just leave it at that.
that
we
is
have something
impressive.
to talk about.
We will start, as we normally do, with the what we've been playing, and you brought up a point. What happened to what Wendy's been playing?
Yeah.
Well, Wendy hasn't played Zelda in quite a few weeks, as far as I understand. Last time I checked, she beat one dungeon, and she had like 130 or 120 of those Korok seeds, which is crazy because I got like 13 when I beat.
Yeah, I beat the game with like one.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think they make you like find it.
yeah, basically. But she didn't actually find the thing where you like spend them. So she had all these, and she's like, I don't know what they do. I was like, oh, they let you carry more items and more armor and more weapons and stuff. She's like, oh, so she went and cashed them in. I was like,
That's
yeah,
cool.
that'll be much better. So that's what she's been doing. She's, I think, veering away from Zelda, trying to maybe find something new. I've been pushing Persona 4 on her. See how that goes. Been watching Critical Role. A lot of those voice actors in there. I was like, hey, boy, do I have a game for you that will take up all your time. But anyway, so that's what she's been doing. I'll start really quick because mine is fast. Obviously, more Fortnite. Don't need to go into that. Final Fantasy 12, gotten a little bit further into that, just kind of chipping away at it. Love the Gambit system as a combat system. I think it's really cool to basically program your AI with items that you collect and buy and all that stuff. The world, still awesome. My biggest complaint about the game in particular is that they didn't redo the audio, like the voice acting audio. So it's strange whenever there's a cutscene that there's these new visuals that look fine, and then the audio clearly dips in quality to like this bad, just like it's not the voice acting that is the problem. It is the quality of the like microphone and the audio for the voice acting, because it's been so long since PlayStation 2 games. You can just very quickly tell the difference.
It's a lot more prevalent too on like a home theater system when you have it up loud anyway, and then like the obvious dip that it takes.
Yeah. But I really like the combat. The story's fine so far. I'm not like super invested. My biggest problem with how everything's set up in the actual game is that the main character's kind of boring to me.
He's awesome.
They're definitely the worst part of it so far, and it seems like that is a very common consensus, is that the side characters are way cooler in this game than a lot of the main stuff. Yeah, that seems about
That's
right.
another reason why it feels like a Star Wars game, because all of these like space operas always make it where everyone else, who's usually like a different race or like a different type of being, is usually more interesting, because
like Luke
you're
sucks,
usually stuck as like the human. So it's just like, hey,
The
we
hume,
know
if you will.
we know about humans pretty well, but then there's like a big lizard, like a cat lady, or whatever.
That's what's cool about all the Elder Scroll games.
Yeah.
You get to play like all the crazy shit.
Yeah, like the people who play like a Nord or something is just like, really?
Yeah.
Is that as creative as you could get? But yeah, usually with the games with multiple races and different types of environments and stuff, like if it looks too much like Earth and you're playing as humans and everyone in the town's a human, it's like, okay, I've seen this.
Yeah.
So like my thing with the characters so far is that they all seem like movie cliches, and they act like they're movie cliches, and I imagine it's gonna keep that up. Like there's some characters that are just like, nail on the head cliche movie, like B-movie actor style acting. So but anyway, getting further into that, and I'm enjoying it. Next, I just want to bring up Moss, because it's doing very well, apparently, and it reviewed incredibly well for a PlayStation VR game, which makes me really happy. It's kind of the first one that I've seen a lot of non-VR people be like, this game looks interesting. You know, I want to play this game. Make this game in not VR is always the thing. And it's like, I don't think you understand exclusivity. Yeah. So check out Moss if you haven't. It's done by a lot of ex-Bungie team put together. It is a third-person game in VR, which I've always talked about is awesome, but people don't seem to grab the concept of it. And you're basically playing this god, I guess, and you control the mouse with the left stick, and then you can interact with the world with the controller by like grabbing things to make platforms for the little mouse, and there's combat and all that stuff. Yeah.
That was a squirrel.
No, it's a mouse. It reminds me
Big
of
mouse.
Redwall. You ever read the Redwall books?
I love the Redwall book.
Yeah,
That's all I wanted to play.
it reminds me of that.
Yeah, game looks sweet.
Like you fight like big snake and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Moss. And then the next thing I want to bring up is that I'm going to try to go through a lot of classic games. I'm thinking maybe doing like one a month or something. And I think this month my goal is going to be to go through Super Metroid.
That's cool.
I just want to, get my portfolio of classic games more rounded. And I think that's where I'm going to start. And I was like, maybe if I just tell myself to do one a month, I'll do it. Because that's not too much of an investment. So maybe I'll be able to talk about Super Metroid sometime later. I don't know. We'll see. Todd, what have you been playing?
The new Overwatch season just started up like 2 days ago, so I've been playing a bunch of that.
Is there a new character?
Yeah, there's
New reveal this week.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's coming out in like 2 weeks or whatever. Her name is like, everyone thinks it's Bridget, but it's actually like Brigate or something dumb.
Yeah, something like that.
She looks awesome. Yeah, she's like this weird like tank healer hybrid. It's like
Do you remember the little dwarf man with the automatic turret?
Bastion.
Nope. He is the
guy that
actual turret.
sets the turret down.
Basically, it's that guy's daughter.
Yeah, but she's not a dwarf for some reason.
Genetics.
Yeah, but she's like she's Reinhardt's like squire. She's pretty cool.
None of these things mean anything to me.
I don't know. I'm super excited about her. She looks awesome. But yeah, I'm enjoying the new season. They did a bunch of patches and stuff, so feels really really clean and balanced right now, which is cool.
Do you watch Overwatch League at all?
Yeah,
Who's your team?
Outlaws.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've watched it a few times. I spent a few years watching like League of Legends, so I kind of got used to the whole esports scene, and it looks really well. I've seen a handful of matches at least,
sweet.
but broadcasts are always really cool, and I'm glad that I'm seeing, at least on like Facebook and stuff, people who wouldn't be caught dead watching like League of Legends or esports stuff are actually kind of tuning in and be like, hey, I'm interested. So.
It's actually cool. I think the announcers do like a really good job like keeping up with the game because it's a pretty fast-paced game.
Yeah, it's really chaotic to watch.
I think it's really interesting to watch because Lindsay, like I'm a big League fan too, so I'll watch the LCS or the ELCS or something. And Lindsay like hates watching that with me, but she actually enjoys watching Overwatch.
Really?
All the teams like have their own like skins for the game when they play. It's really cool.
That's so weird.
I think it's because the characters are probably more like when you're watching League, you're seeing like a little like bloop
you have
on
no idea what they're doing
on the map. But
I think both of them are confused. I think League's confusing because the objective is very confusing to somebody who doesn't know what's going on.
That's very fair.
I think Overwatch, the objective isn't very confusing, but the action is confusing.
Some of the camera angles,
which is why fighting games work really well because they're very easy. Yeah, you both see the health bars and you see the fighting and you're done. Like that's why they're. I feel like
love
a lot of
watching
casual
fighting games
people
too.
like watching fighting games.
Tekken just got an E-League as well.
I saw
Started
that.
up. Have you seen any of that? Once
I
again,
haven't
good.
really watched it, but I've been watching like the weird, like, well, I guess it's not weird, but I've been watching all the Winter Brawl stuff.
Oh yeah,
I watched like the Injustice one live, and then I've been watching like the replays. But back to what I'm playing. So I've been playing a bunch of Overwatch. Been playing some League. All my friends basically started a new account, so we're just like smurfing our way back to 30. That's been really fun. Been playing some Injustice. I got like 85 hours into the game now.
Some Injustice.
Yeah. I didn't think I'd like the game so much, but yeah, just been really enjoying it. The Turtles are a freaking blast. Everybody hates them, like playing against them now. Sonic Fox like won Winter Brawl with Michelangelo. So everybody's like freaking out about how busted Michelangelo is now.
Yeah, he wins with all the mediocre
he just
characters.
wins.
Yeah, it was insane. He played like one match as Black Man, and then the rest of his matches as Michelangelo. Just like kicked everybody's ass.
Yeah.
So that was fun to watch. Been playing some Borderlands 2.
That's a weird one.
Yeah, they had it on sale on Steam like a month ago for like $5 for the game and like all the expansions and stuff. So I bought it, and it's one of my favorite games. So I just decided to like start playing through. And I haven't played a bunch of the expansions, so it's been really cool to play through that.
Do you have someone to play with, or are you playing it by yourself?
Well, my brother-in-law, little brother, got it too. but he hasn't really been playing it, so I've just been kind of playing it by myself, which sucks. But it's
Yeah.
definitely more fun with other people.
Yeah, it's way more fun.
But it's cool seeing the expansions. They look really cool. It's been fun playing through that, and I think that's it. I was trying to play some Street. Oh yeah, I just finished Edith Finch like tonight, actually, like 10 minutes ago. Game was really, really sweet. Not as good as Unfinished Swan in my opinion, but it was,
Yeah,
it was
when I first finished Finch, I liked Swan better, but I now like Finch better. Especially going back and seeing like little things that happened, like metaphorically things that happen. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that the first time or the second time.
I feel like in Unfinished Swan, I was super into it the entire game, and in Edith
To be
Finch,
fair, you broke this into multiple playthroughs.
Yeah,
I think did we do that with Unfinished? I think we did that with Unfinished too. But Unfinished has actual chapters, so it's a lot easier to do that.
I think I played Unfinished all the way through.
Did you?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't know, but yeah, I did play this in two parts.
This is a bunch of sub stories and stuff too. So if you
I
just
was
don't,
a little non-interested in
if
some
you
of
just
the
don't
sub-stories.
dig the character or the
Yeah.
story or pieces of it, then sure.
Not to say anything against the game. The game's awesome. So that was great. And then I wanted to start playing some Street Fighter, but I just never got around to it this week. So maybe next week.
Got your first win in Fortnite.
Ooh, I've been playing Fortnite too.
Yeah.
I did get my first one in Fortnite.
You were dead, but you.
Yeah, I was.
But somebody got you your first one.
That's true. Thanks, Kevin.
Carried to victory. I've mostly played just one game this week, and it's Rainbow Six Siege. I went through and unlocked all of the heroes or operators, whatever you want to call them, and all their weapon attachments for the most part. Basically, it's one of those, you win the game, you get like in-game credit towards something, you can spend in-game credit towards unlocking people or, that old thing. Been playing Terrorist Hunt and what they call situations. Situations is basically, here's their attempt at story mode, but it's like, hey, we have a certain set of objectives for you and go ahead and clear this. I think it's the best way to do a tutorial, because the very first one is just basic, hey, we need you to crouch under this and we need you to lean to the sides and shoot these people, just basically teach you without, I think the typical shooting game is throw you on a dummy course or something like that, or a training ground and just shoot random objects. But it was a cool way of learning, and they give you a bunch of experience and credit and stuff like that, so it's good to spend all that in game. Feels like you're getting something for each win, and then you can turn that into, hey, I can play different people or different play styles and stuff like that. And also Tuesday, day after this goes live, hopefully,
We'll see.
is basically every edition of the game except for the starter edition, which is $13, I think. Every edition of the game is going to have all of the base operators and all of their weapon attachments given to them for free. So that's cool. And when I say base, I think it's basically, if you think about it like fighting games, each season has a few different people that they've added to the roster. So those won't be free, but everyone else will be. And all their weapons, so all the sights and stuff you stick on the guns and skins and stuff like that. So
That's sweet.
that's cool that they're still bringing people in. I think this is the start of their third year, I think in the beginning of March. So
I didn't realize it'd been out that long.
yeah, me neither, but it's one of those things where you're glad you kind of waited a while, sort of I'm sure Destiny people say by the time
Street
that
Fighter.
game. Yeah, that too. It's good to wait if you ever can. So pretty cool that most of the editions of the game are getting this stuff for free, because it takes a while to unlock them unless you buy the expensive version where you get handed a bunch of them and a discount, I think, in their little in-game store. So pretty cool game. I like it. Definitely the best Rainbow Six game. Not much more to say about that.
Wow.
That's
The best Rainbow Six game doesn't even have a campaign.
Sure.
I mean, I'm excited to play it.
Yeah, it's something
I don't know, man. I
It's
played Rainbow Six
taken-
3.
it's taking the hero combat, but making it in a cool way where it's realistic, and it's not this guy's going to charge up a big laser beam and do things. It's realistic in the fact that, this guy breaches stuff. And really, breaking through walls and stuff like that adds so much to the game that it's hard to talk about it without just seeing it, sort of thing. You get in a match and it's one of those, it's man, I'm in a good spot. I know this guy's going to maybe run up those stairs right there. We're good to go. And then they breach the wall behind you and blow you up. And you're oh, I never even thought of that, because you're so used to like X and Y axis sort of stuff for shooting games, but when like you're just breaking literally through walls, or breaching through like the floor or something, or you see like a little droid or something running up the stairs, like, what is that? And it's like deep, 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 and then you're dead. Pretty cool.
That is sweet.
Lots of cool ways to kill people. So makes for a fun game.
All right, let's get off this and let's move into the news. First off, PlayStation Plus March has been announced, and it'll basically be coming out by the time this goes live.
It's insane.
Yeah. So this last month, I don't remember exactly. I think they had Knack and something else. Maybe Telltale Batman or something like.
Journey?
No.
That wasn't last week?
No.
That was a Telltale and
They had Telltale. I think
Batman,
they had
then.
Knack. They've been giving out. They did Deus Ex the month before that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like they've been giving out bigger things
Yeah.
recently. So they just went and outdid themselves this month, I guess. So we get Bloodborne, Ratchet and Clank, Mighty Number 9, Claire Extended Cut, Legacy of Kai Anniversary, and I think that's the PlayStation 3 version only because that is on PS4. So I think it's only the PS3 version, and then Bombing Busters. So 5 of those games I believe are PS4 games, which is really cool. And obviously 5 of those games are good to amazing.
yeah, 3 of them are amazing.
Yeah,
and
like
the other ones are questionable.
there's a lot of really good stuff, and like the only one that I don't know is that Bombing Busters, and apparently that's just Bomberman, like a reskin of Bomberman.
Oh,
so I'm
cool.
gonna check that out because that
Yeah.
sounds fun. But yeah, obviously this is a crazy good month.
There is something very wrong with you if you don't get Bloodborne for free.
Yeah.
Whether it's like, I don't know if I can handle this type of game, or this may not be up my alley, like, it's free. And
just
it's
try
a
it.
really good game.
Just try it. And Ratchet and Clank's freaking awesome. Like,
Yeah,
oh my
this
gosh.
was my only chance to sort of pick it up, as it being free and
Mhm.
That
right
game-
there to download.
I haven't played
so.
it, but I watched you play through it.
Yeah.
The game was sweet.
Yeah, it's really
Kellen
good.
likes it too,
Mighty
doesn't he?
Number 9, I think, is really good. It's got that horrible art style, but the gameplay of it's really good. And I think if people get it for free, maybe they'll give it a chance and be like, oh, I don't fully understand why people.
Is that where you can play as the female?
No, well, you
that guy.
can, but no. Are you thinking of Shantae,
Maybe.
the genie one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Claire is a good game. The Legend of Kai is like one of those old PS2 games that they remastered, where they had like Ty the whatever and all these like mascot platformers. He was
Yeah.
just one of those. And then, like I said, Bombing Busters is like rip off Bomberman, as far as I understand. Don't know if it's good or bad though. And then with this announcement came that beginning March 2019, which I misread at first. I was like, oh, that sucks. March 2019. So they're giving you a full year of warning. They are done giving out Vita games, and they are done giving out PS3 games. So it will drop to only 2 PS4 games a month instead of the 6 games that we get now. I imagine the reason that they're giving a year notice is because if somebody buys a year card, they're expecting to get 6 games a month, and this covers their trail of being like, no,
Yeah.
we announced that in a year it's over. I think it's safe to. They're saying that it's going to 2 PS4 games. I think it's safe to assume that we're going to start getting 2 PS4 games, probably 2 PSVR games in there as well. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's when the PS5 gets announced and they make room for PlayStation 5 stuff.
Yeah,
in
that'd
there,
be insane.
as well. They're kind of clearing out the room for that.
That also might signal like a bump in quality of games. Like, this is a bad month to compare it to, because
Mhm.
obviously you get Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank at least.
Yeah.
But maybe it's like Bloodborne and something of its caliber right beside it, sort of thing.
Yeah,
so.
they're trying to give out multiple. I mean, I think Ratchet and Clank's right up there. They're definitely all top notch PS4 exclusives. So
Yeah.
let's keep talking about PS4 exclusives. Let's move into Detroit Become Human, which has finally got a release date, May 25th. So we've got our April God of War. We've got
End of
our
the month. Yep.
May Detroit. We've got March Ni no Kuni 2. And people kind of assume that July might be Spider-Man.
I'm hoping into June. They just keep knocking out the end of the month, sort of thing. End of April, God of War. End of May.
Yeah, if they're... I just feel like they would put Spider-Man... Like, give Spider-Man its date already. But we'll say... They did say first half of the year for Spider-Man, so maybe we get the...
Well, and for the
Junes.
longest time, they said spring of 2018 for Detroit. So that's good. They stuck to that, too.
Yeah.
Kind of right at the tail end of it. Well, I forget like what actually quantifies as spring, but it doesn't feel like spring.
Yeah.
This is like the first year where I've like really wanted a PS4.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get all the stuff that they've had that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you get all this. I actually specifically, even though you don't have a PlayStation, I specifically text you the list of the games that you got for free because I knew you like Ratchet and Clank, and I know you've talked about Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of like, I mean, if you're going to get a PlayStation 4 in the next few months, you might as well sign up for a free PlayStation Plus and get these games.
Yeah.
That way, when you get your PlayStation, you have the games.
Right.
Because it stays on your account. So probably a good month to use a free trial and then grab the games. Yeah.
And I really want to play God of War and Spider-Man. And
Right, yeah.
Typically, too, as far as fighting games go, those are the most...
I see.
I don't want to say best communities for it because that's a bad term to use.
I see like a bunch of fighting game streamers playing PS4.
They play PS4 just because that's the easiest setup usually at tournaments.
It's usually sponsored by the tournaments and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So all that stuff
Mine
comes
is
down to
like
it.
Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to play Killer Instinct on there.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched the Killer Instinct tournament. It was weird to me because some people had Xbox controllers. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that in a fighting game tournament. Sticking with some Sony exclusives, maybe this one will come out in July. Dreams. So Dreams may allow users to sell their games on PSN. So Media Molecule talked about the prospect of one day letting their users sell their creations, which is not something the game will support at launch, but it's something that may happen in the future and that they've discussed internally. They said potentially in the future, someone could use Dreams to make a PSN game, for example. That's not really something that we're talking about from the beginning, but it's one of our long-term goals we have in mind. The problem arises in making sure that everybody who contributed to help making the games gets credited properly, so there's some sticky areas to tackle there. Interesting. I never thought about it, but if I'm going to get Dreams because I think it's a cool idea and it's interesting, and I like Media Molecule. And I think all of their games have been good so far. So I'm down with Dreams. But if they are like, and by the way, if you make a game on this, you can, through a curated like system that doesn't just let everything through, I don't know how you do it. If you do some sort of voting system that leads into a QA testing, like all this stuff. If you can actually publish a game through their game engine, because that's all that game is.
That'd be sweet.
That would be really
That's
cool. And even if the PSN store just has a Dreams game page or something like that, that would be really, really
Or just like
neat.
a marketplace sort of thing built in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like a main menu sort of deal.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. So I am totally down with this as long as it's not something that's like self-published stuff. That doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
Then you get like the Steam, like there's 2 million releases today type thing. But as long as there's some sort of curation for it, that'd be neat.
That's the kind of idea that I wish, like even like shooting games, if they would allow some people to make like skins and stuff like that for like weapons or whatever.
Like what is it called? Steam Labs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just simple stuff like that where you
a
can.
couple times where there's like a community patch and the game developers will actually
Develop
develop us. They will actually.
And I think too, when the PS3 came out, I think Unreal had some stuff like that where you could do community mods. But yeah, like I don't know, like make a cool like camouflage skin for guns and charge $1 for it, and Sony gets 50 cents of it or something like that.
Yeah,
and
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, once hundreds of people download it, sort of thing, if it's cool enough, or if it's just like a meme or something stupid that a bunch of people are gonna love, then yeah, I mean you're rich. So
yeah, I like this idea. I think it would encourage people to play with the tools more and actually work on something that's really good. Once again, we still don't know when Dreams is coming out. There's supposed to be a beta. There is no beta. All this stuff. It seems like it's 2018. We'll see. But anyway, I'm excited for Dreams.
It'd be cool.
I don't think a lot of other people are, though.
I'm not excited about it, but I'm excited to see what people do with it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm interested in playing whatever their campaign. They're like, it has a campaign. We'll see. We'll see what your campaign is.
It could have a campaign.
You can make the campaign. You just got to buy it from somebody else who made it. There's some new Xbox 360 enhanced titles releasing on Xbox backward compatibility with Xbox One X specific, I think, enhancements, which is interesting. This is actually a news story that we skipped over last week because it was rumored, and then I'm glad I skipped that one because we were kind of pressed for time and it was hot up here because we got the real story now. So Witcher 2, Crackdown, Fable Anniversary, and Forza Horizon are the games that are going to start this, and they allow for better visuals, obviously, much better visuals in these games, or you can increase the frame rate to 60 frames a second on them. It's like a kind of option thing.
Sort of like Shadow was. You get options if you want to be
Sure,
more cinematic.
yeah, the cinematic or the frame rate mode. How are we feeling about this?
It's a really good list of games.
Yeah, let's say I think the list of games is really, really sweet. And I think seeing some of these games in 60 frames would be cool.
See, that's where I disagree. The new visuals is fine because you're not going to break something with new visuals.
Yeah.
But 60 frames could break some stuff. I don't know about these games in particular, but it might do things like make dodging attacks difficult to impossible depending on how it registers that kind of stuff. I know when Kingdom Hearts got pushed to 60 frames, there was enemy attacks you couldn't dodge because
really?
just because of the way the frame rate works.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they selected these games particularly because they work and that they know that they work.
I think there's like a certain age of games that doesn't really do that. Like you can't go back and make like some NES games like 60 frames per second and stuff like that just because it'll.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it just changes the timing of the game, and it changes it for the whole thing. Even if you go and play like The Last of Us on PS4 in 60 frames, like it's wrong. Like that's not how that game was designed to be played, and you can swap it back to 30. They're just designed with that intent. Now, changing the visuals, just making the visuals look nicer, I'm always fine with that. So
it's a pretty cool list because if you think about it, Cyberpunk is rumored for this year. Crackdown's coming out this year.
Did you say Cyberpunk's rumored for this year? Not a chance in hell.
I mean, it's a rumor. That's all I'm saying.
It's wrong.
Fable, some sort of Fable is rumored for this year. No. And Forza Horizon is most likely coming out this year.
A team got picked to start working on a Fable this year.
Yeah.
So,
which is exciting.
I don't know. All of these in some form or fashion are going to be talked about this year. So
yeah,
that is interesting to think about. But so like I said, I like the idea of this. The PS2 games that they put on PS4 look infinitely better. I know that the original Xbox games that they put onto Xbox, like Fusion Frenzy, looked insanely good.
That was cool.
And anytime they do this kind of stuff, it makes me happy.
Oh yeah.
They just need to do it with Jet Set.
Oh, that would be awesome.
that would scale so well too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sticking with the Xbox, there's a spring update that has rolled out to insiders. I assume that this is kind of like a beta program for where people can kind of sign up and get into it. And then, of course, they sign some NDAs, and then they break the NDAs and put everything that was on the...
Yeah.
NDAs are almost pointless with the internet the way it is now.
They're usually pointless, especially when they let so many people in.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But, so we have 1440p output support. We have controller share available in Mixer. So this is interesting.
Yeah.
Does that allow streamers to give the controller to somebody like watching, or is this like a share play type situation?
I don't think it's as immersive as like a Twitch plays like Pokemon, where a bunch of people can just type in something and gain control. I think it's just like sort of like almost like a share play sort of idea, where it's just like here's the controller sort of thing. I think that's more what it's like.
That's how I took it, as a share play kind of thing.
Yeah.
God, that would be huge.
If it was like a Twitch plays platform, that would be sweet.
So I haven't used Mixer. Have you used Mixer at all?
No.
Do you know if there's a private stream? Like, can you one-on-one stream with Mixer?
I think you can.
Or is it like Twitch where it has to be a public thing?
I think you can do it privately.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. You do a private stream, show somebody the game, hand them the controller.
It's not necessarily like a private stream, but it's like it's almost like what do you call it?
I don't know.
It's like when you what's it called when basically you're like sharing your computer with somebody else? Like
just like sharing the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're navigating. It's basically like that.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Especially since it's a Microsoft product.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, like, basically, to what he's saying is, like, if your computer's messed up and you're like, hey, Microsoft, something's wrong with my computer, and, like, the IT guy takes over.
No,
like,
I understand
like
that. Yeah, that's like a private. I mean, like, it's not public. People can't view you.
Right.
Interesting.
As far as we know.
There's also an upgraded web browser on the Microsoft Edge. Thank God, that thing is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible. Also, I can never find it anymore because they changed the name to Edge however long ago, and I'm still looking for Explorer. Some additional audio balances, more options for club owners, and open tournaments for community members of games.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That is.
yeah, that's like the PlayStation has some tournament community stuff
Yeah.
going on too. A lot of these changes are stuff that I see on PlayStation, and I really like. And Xbox getting them, including that phone chat thing, if that's coming too, where you can join party chats from phones.
Yeah.
Might be turning on my Xbox more.
I remember when they like had the thing where you could link your phone to your Xbox, so I could like use my.
Oh, it's like a Switch.
Yeah. So I could.
No, you mean what was it called? Glass?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's called
that's
Glass,
exactly what
right?
it is. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be so sweet. And then I like used it once. I was like,
I've used the
it works well.
yeah.
Not a shot
I've
to that,
used
but
the
it's kinda
Vita to do that. You can use your phone too.
Yeah.
With Playroom, fairly recently, you like draw stuff and you can throw it, and then it goes into the world. And it's still cool. Still feels cool to draw something and flick it into the TV world. Next up, Horizon Zero Dawn has crossed 7.6 million sales after its 1 year on the market.
It's really good.
That's awesome.
That is really good, especially for a new IP.
Yeah.
That is the crazy part. A lot of people are scared to make new IPs. You get things like The Order 1886 and stuff, and then people are like, see, that's why we make Uncharted 4. That's why we make this. And Xbox this year, I feel like, tried really hard in the beginning to make all that. Like, they did the Recores and the Quantum Breaks and all this stuff trying to get people, and like none of them took off. And I mean, Bloodborne doesn't really count because it's kind of another game art. It's in the Souls category. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
they took some liberties with it, but yeah, it's its own thing, but it's like a branch off the Souls tree.
Yeah, like it's under that umbrella.
Yeah.
This was just straight brand new IP, not based off anything like Spider-Man, and it did really, really well and was really well acclaimed. So
And from a group of people who don't usually make those sorts of games.
they only make shooter like
What's
Killzone.
crazy about this game is I have so many people that bought like a PlayStation to play this game.
Yeah.
Which was surprising.
I agree.
Especially in the I guess the array of games that came out last year is really good that this still hit almost 8 million, even though
That's true as
it
well.
didn't show up to many awards, or at least
it showed
on the
up.
stage.
It just didn't win.
Yeah. But it's really good that it didn't get completely overshadowed because that when it came out too was a very aggressive time for games.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited what they do, like whether they make a sequel. Or
They're doing a sequel.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if we see the sequel teaser trailer this year.
Yeah, I didn't know if they do like a sequel or like kind of like a spin-off kind of thing.
No,
like
yeah,
almost
we'll
a
do.
sequel, but
Yeah,
some
like-
Yeah, we got
something
Frozen Wilds, which I think was like 20 hours or something
Yeah.
as a DLC.
different. It's a big DLC for sure.
I definitely had my knocks against the game, at least compared to the
me too.
2017 roster. But I definitely said even back then, Aloy, that main character is like going places as far as their.
I don't like Aloy.
I played
7.6 million
this
people
game.
do. So.
I like the world. I think was like the
Yeah.
coolest part of the game for me.
It was cool.
The character was fun.
Yeah.
She just needs to be in a linear story, I think.
Next up, all versions of Yakuza 6 via a demo bug have been taken away with no penalties to speak of. So basically, just to kind of sum up the story, there was supposed to be a demo of Yakuza 6 that went live. It went live for a very short time because people figured out that you got the full game if you downloaded this demo.
Oh, wow.
Somebody messed up. The big reason this is a big deal is because the game doesn't come out until April 20-something, around there. So not only did you get the game, you got it a month or more early.
Yeah, people noticed. They were like, "I'm playing the game, but why am I getting trophies for this and stuff like that?"
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that was a big issue. I knew that they were going to restrict people's access to it. It's good that they did it quickly and everything, but
That's why I'm glad they did it with like
funny because I'm usually on top of those demos when they go live. I'm normally like refreshing the store trying to find them, and this one just slipped by until it was too late. I was like, man, I could have played some of it and checked it out.
It's one of those like I'm glad. I was just really glad that they didn't penalize people for it. It's hard to because it's not like you exploited something technically because it was sort of an accident. And like I said, there were actual people who were just like, "Hey, I'm playing the demo, but I'm like unlocking stuff." Is that right?
Yeah.
So
So I have two stories about this. One is they did this. They messed up with Amplitude. We've played Amplitude before. They had a demo for Amplitude where if you downloaded it, you unlocked the full game. And I had it for like a month or so before they finally locked me out of it and said, you don't have the license to play this game. I was like, oh, well, that was fun while it lasted. And then the other one is God of War on the Vita. They had a bug where if you downloaded God of War's demo and you downloaded God of War 2's demo, it would allow you to download the full game of God of War 1 and 2 collection on the Vita. And they've still never fixed that one. But yeah, so all right. Well, I don't know if they probably fixed the store bug, but they didn't revoke that one.
That's cool.
So. I don't think they care about those games for the 15th time that they've sold them.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just kind of interesting. Next up, Far Cry 5 revealed to have microtransactions, but it will not contain any loot boxes. I don't like the story. This is the same story that we talked about with Sea of Thieves 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's sad that it is news that something doesn't have loot boxes.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. It's sad that this is like a good thing. Like people kind of give like a thumbs up, like, okay, cool, I'll still buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's nice that there's no loot boxes because I agree if you're going to spend money, at least knowing what you're going to get.
Or at least give the loot boxes as an option and then let you pick the thing for more, a higher price.
I'm not really sure what this game is. I mean, they didn't list out what the microtransactions actually were.
I'm sure they're just like skins for your dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've already announced, 5 DLC packs
Something like
for
that,
this, too.
Yeah.
And so, see, stuff like that, like, I know they're going to make Far Cry 5 Complete Edition now. And I'm just like, man, I'll just wait. And then I either, like Injustice 2, I wait and I forget about it and I go, oh, like, I don't care now.
Yeah.
Or, it like, Resident Evil 7. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll buy the complete thing now. Like, it can go either way. So I don't like all this announcing all this stuff too early, but then I'm mad when they do it afterwards. It's a slippery slope.
Like, if you don't do it, then the people buying, like, the season pass are just like, what am I getting? So there's really it's a lose-lose sort of situation.
Yeah, you just don't do it. The only way to make it a win situation is if the company that makes the game doesn't do DLC. Yeah. That's the only way, but then they're not happy because they're like, we get free money.
That's fair.
It's like we changed the skin color of something and charged $1.99 for it, and people lose their minds. So like, oh, I want my gun to have a tiger skin.
Like Street Fighter handled it. Like they came out with basically all that stuff in like 2 years, and then they were like, here's this new edition. If you already have the game, then you just unlock all this stuff.
Yeah, 2 years later. The problem is that game was hated. At launch, they got destroyed.
It was just incomplete.
I think it's completely hated.
They were missing.
It was definitely getting some backlash.
They were missing modes and stuff like that, and it really hurt.
Yeah.
But
they didn't even have the campaign ready.
As far as the actual gameplay
mode,
goes, the game got good reviews, but the game itself.
And fortunately, it didn't have a Tekken or Soul Calibur or Dragon Ball Fighters or any of this other stuff to fight against.
Right.
So
that's true. Like I think if that particular thing launched last year. Like how Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite launched, Street Fighter 5 would have got destroyed too.
Yeah,
it did. That is true. It launched at a safe period.
The saving grace for Street Fighter 5 was the tournament scene, like blew up, and it's still going.
And the people that have been playing it for 20 years, like they're not gonna all of a sudden switch to another game. They're still just gonna play Street Fighter. Right. So hanging in there.
Let's talk about loot boxes some more because it's so fun to talk about on the show. This one's interesting though. ESRB has rated in on their opinion for loot boxes, so they've been quiet, and they decided that basically they said you may have noticed that we've been quiet on the topic of in-game purchases and loot boxes, but we've been listening. In fact, we've absorbed every tweet, email, Facebook post, singing telegram sent our way, and we've been working on to develop a sensible approach to let gamers and parents know when a game offers the option to purchase additional content. Starting soon, ESRB will be assigning a brand new label to physical games titled In-Game Purchases. This label, or as we'll call it, interactive element, will appear on boxes and whenever those games can be downloaded for all games that offer the ability to purchase digital goods or premium goods with real-world currency, including bonus level skins, surprise items, item packs such as loot boxes, music, virtual coins, or any other form of currency subscriptions or season passes. We'll be launching a new website where people can go to help awareness of all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So, they're going to start putting that there's additional purchases. If you buy this game, there's a season pass. Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think they're gonna go to the extent of putting it on every game. Almost wish, and
Wouldn't be here. Would be there. Well, no, I don't.
Expansion.
It's got yeah, I guess so. I guess it would be on that. What's that game? Ratchet and Clank? Wouldn't be there. Wouldn't be there.
I almost kind of wish that they would almost just put like gambling, the word gambling on the back, if it's something as bad as loot box and microtransactions. Like Star Wars Battlefront 2, put gambling on there.
Yeah, no, I actually am surprised that this hasn't been like the back of the boxes have all these bullet points. You know, one player supports this, network player uses the DualShock 4. Thank you. You know, is remote playable. They've always had all the stuff on the back of all these boxes, these criteria that they need to meet. And I actually think it's really strange that they've never had to have a box that says additional purchases online or new purchases from in game. Because even things in the App Store and stuff say that when you go to download it, it's like, by the way, this game contains additional purchases that you can make specifically for kids. They're more worried about kids.
Getting like mommy and daddy's credit card or something like that. And
just being able to purchase stuff. So I'm all for this. This is great.
Sure.
And now I think you threw me off with the gambling thing. I think Hawaii was the first state that started implementing something to deal with the loot box situation.
They actually passed a legislation.
Yeah, that's why I didn't put it on my list because I didn't think it would come up, and then you brought up the gambling thing. And I'm like, God damn it! Now I'm. But I think it was Hawaii that's actually going through the legislation of.
He was very adamant about his opposition to loot boxes and stuff like that. I guess he was a hardcore gamer and just never mentioned it or something like that. But yeah, I think he was like a senator or something like that.
Well, yeah. All right, let's move into the questions and comments from last week. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot. We did do a Shadow of the Colossus spoiler talk last week too, and that's been going well. It seems like a lot of people liked that. There's been some conversation in there, which is going well, and I would like to do more of those things. So, because I arguably something that we'll get into is actually my favorite. But that's one of my favorite types of videos to do is those spoiler discussion things where we can just talk about one thing forever because we do like to ramble about stuff a lot, and it gives us an outlet to do that. So check that out if you've played Shadow of the Colossus at least. So first up, Alexander Chilton says, the media more or less left Nintendo to die during the Wii U era. This is in response to our discussion that are Nintendo's reviews biased? You know, does Nintendo get bias in their reviews that they have? So I think the idea that Nintendo is a company who always gets a free pass is wrong. I don't agree that Nintendo games are comparable to the competition. Their consoles are not comparable to the competition. Excuse me. Their consoles aren't, but not their games. That's hard because the games are played on the console. Yeah. Like, it is a different experience to being able to take your game with you as the Switch, because if they're making their own game, they're probably going to want to have some elements that are easy to shut it off at any point and keep going. You think of something like Kingdom Battle, the strategy game. Like, at any point in that game, you can just shut it off and put it down, do whatever you're doing, and then come back to it. Like, they designed the game with that stuff in mind, and now they have a double, like, not problem, but something to think about, because that game can be played normal, or it can be played, you know, to go, and that allows you to do things like, but like score attacks and all this stuff that you could play feasibly on the plane or whatever, and then also stuff that you'd want to play on your couch. So to say that it's not that the games are comparable and not the consoles, it doesn't really work for me. Also, you have things like motion controls and stuff that just other companies aren't dealing with, you know. Next up, but generally, do Nintendo's mediocre games review well, such as Star Fox Zero, 1-2 Switch, etc.? They usually review fine. I still think they probably review better than they would if they weren't.
Star Fox Zero is not mediocre.
Nintendo
that
stuff.
game's trash.
But with that said, people don't talk about that stuff. Like, that was my point. Like, they do have a lot of mediocre games and bad games, but nobody...
They don't get as much backlash.
Yeah,
they do get
that's
backlash,
like never
but
in
they
the
don't get as
discussion.
much like IGN, like, this game's freaking trash.
Yeah, like, one thing to compare is, like, Star Fox Zero's motion controls were just horrendous. Like, every review talks about it like that.
Yeah.
But there weren't, like, Twitter memes, and just blowing up like Reddit.
5 Reddit pages.
But if you get wonky facial animations in, like, Andromeda, all of a sudden the internet explodes.
Yeah,
and, you know, the
crazy.
rest of that game is actually playable now. And pretty decent in some regards. It's actually a really good story. It may or may not live up to the older games in people's opinions, but like it's playable and it's good. But just one glaring issue and one gameplay issue that like actually prevents you from playing the game. Oh yeah, Star Fox Zero is bad, but let me tell you about that Mario sort of thing.
Next up, and I'm taking snippets out of this, this conversation that they posted. You can go there and check out everything. They said the only company right now that I feel like a little bit is underrepresented and mistreated is Xbox. I definitely agree with that, and we're going to talk about that in a question that we have. And then they said that the discussion got a bit one-sided for me.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we're going to do our question later, which is we're going to talk about the positives of the consoles and, compliment them on some stuff. And I believe it was also him who brought up the fact that, and this is a big one and something that we skipped that week, Nintendo games don't really have a story. Mario's story is Save the Princess, like it's not a story. Zelda has lore, but it's
Save the Princess.
It's not really a story. Animal Crossing, all these games,
Pikmin.
Even Pokemon, like they don't have these.
Pokemon's got a story.
It's horrible. They don't have these full-fledged stories. Whereas you talk about something like Destiny, like that got so trashed for not having a story, and it's just interesting that
Battlefront.
Yeah, like there's tons of them, or things have a story, like The Order, and people are like, oh, it's a boring story, or even Uncharted, people are like, oh, the story wasn't impactful enough. I don't even remember it, like all this stuff, and it's just interesting that one company cannot do a story. People don't seem to care. Another company doesn't do a story, and it feels like they get docked points for it on a review scale.
Yeah, I left some huge, like, massive Qualitex thing on there, so I'll just leave that as is. But I know I kind of derailed it, too, because I started talking about the system, and, like, the system gets away with stuff, and the games just let it. So I kind of derailed that myself, too, so... Oh, well.
Next up, Mr. Trey Sean 22 says, Nintendo has always gotten a free pass, and it will continue to in the future. People love nostalgia, and Nintendo's the reason a lot of these reviewers got into gaming. They will always pull for Nintendo in some way. Yeah, I don't see too many people going, Nintendo failing, woohoo! Like, everybody always wants Nintendo to at least be by their side,
Yeah. I feel like the generation that's reviewing is the same generation that grew up on the NES, so they're just like...
I feel like that's the top, and I think the N64 people are kind of the new...
Yeah, most like the interns and stuff like that. Those are the ones who are like, man, my first system was an N64, and then like the guys who are like the executive editors and stuff like that are the NES and maybe even before.
I think it'll be interesting because after that, the next one is going to be like the 360 online generation. And I think their reviews are going to be really... Yeah, bro, this game, dude, bro, man.
F you.
Your mother. Next up, World End says, come on, man, you named every single DICE award except for story and technical for Horizon. Yeah, it was hot, and we were just going through them really quick. I missed a lot of them. There were some VR ones that I skipped over.
There was so much Legend of Zelda on that page that I was just disheartened while reading
Nick wouldn't allow it. No, I did a lot of the Legend of Zelda one, but yeah, it sure did win a lot. Next up, Zach also says, this is completely off topic, but I really enjoyed what you guys do with your top 10 Vita, 3DS, Wii U, 3DS, Wii U games, etc. I'd love to see you do genres such as top 10 JRPGs, platformers, fighting games of all time, etc. That's all stuff that I would like to do.
Yeah.
We do a lot of those lists, kind of put them on the back burner in case, somebody has a wedding and we can't film that weekend, or we're just all busy, or, well, we got to go to a wedding. Maybe
we do got to do that.
Maybe it's a holiday. All these reasons. So we like to have those as backup episodes.
I was saying too, there's some anniversaries lately, like 20th and 25th and 30th year or something like that. So,
But yeah, I love doing those lists. We've been kind of going back in time, doing the legacy stuff. I wouldn't mind doing a current generation one coming up or whatever.
Yeah, that was my comment on it, and I left another comment on that one too. It was basically we're starting off with the dead or mostly dead systems just because that list feels permanent and it's not going to move.
Yeah, it feels like we're done.
The worst offender, I think, was the Wii U, just because Zelda came out after we did that list.
And we
reserved that, hey, it's going to be on
Zelda's
here.
Be here. Yeah, I agree, and they are actually probably my favorite podcast-style videos to do, those lists.
They're fun.
I think that they are fun. So, yeah, we'll
Easiest
always
to
be
prep for,
doing...
too.
We'll always be doing more of those, for sure.
Hey, if you like Persona, we might have one coming up in the near future.
We're doing a list of Persona ones. Let's rank every Persona character.
Every single one?
Every single one.
I'll be downstairs.
Side character, funky student from Persona 4, number 1.
You had some good puns.
All right. Let's move into let's move it into our compliment section here. Our question is going to be, what are 2 compliments about each console, being PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, that we can give? So, what's 2 things that we like about that particular console? I figured the way that we'll do this, we'll start with one console, just kind of go, and if somebody else has that same thing, you can just add in and join on. It doesn't matter. And we'll go until we've all used ours, and then we'll go to the next console. Does that sound good?
Sounds cool.
All right, let's start with the Switch. All right, so I'll start. We'll just go this way. My first compliment for the Switch is that it works exactly how they showed it in that commercial. And I remember like laughing at that commercial because I was like, there's no way that you put the thing in and it goes to the screen and then you pull it out and it's right there. It's going to have like a loading time. Yeah. It'll like shut off your game or all this. There's no way. Nope. You just put it on the dock, and as long as you put it on right, it pops up on the screen. You take it off, and it jumps straight to the.
My millennial rooftop parties and
have gotten so much.
And my
better.
street basketball matches have never been the same since this came out.
Yeah, no, I am still impressed looking at that commercial and everything that they announced, and that's going to lead into my next one in a little bit. But like, I cannot believe that it works as advertised, like kind of flawlessly. So that is my first one for the Switch. I love that.
Kind of partly based off that, just how good of a party game system it actually is.
Like for only being out a year too.
Yeah. And it's more than just the Mario Kart and the eventual Smash that's going to show up on it, like just the little stuff. Even though some of them might be third party, like Puyo Puyo Tetris, like it just feels right on the Switch, and it feels like it's one of those systems now where I just made the joke about the commercials that show like rooftop parties and courtside basketball sort of things, but like it's actually pretty useful in scenarios like this where you're at someone's house or maybe even like a small get-together sort of party. So there's a lot of room for games that might not sell off the shelves or anything, but a lot of like sleeper hits that can really just kind of make your
a lot of those good 4-player things, and the fact that the controller, like the Joy-Con thing, and they actually hold like a decent charge of battery. Like it's not like you're going somewhere and you're like, oh well, this controller's dead and this controller's dead. We could play 2-player while these are charging. Like it just works. It's very nice.
Yeah.
How about you, Todd?
So I like how innovative this system was, and I like how, like when I first played it, it was just fun to use the system, whether I was using the sticks or whether I was just playing the actual system. I think the games that they made for it were really like adaptive to the system. I think all those games utilize the new like Switch controls really well. Yeah. So no matter what the game is, like even if I'm not the biggest fan of it, playing the game's actually been fun on the Switch. So I thought that with the system was really cool.
My next plus is more of a Nintendo thing than a Switch thing, but it's that they've hit all their release dates. They haven't. Once again, Nintendo, you're not going to get Mario out this year. What are you talking about? There's no way you're getting Splatoon out by that. And they've hit everything without breaking a sweat, and it is so nice that every month we've had an awesome Switch game, and in between all of that, we've had good, indie Switch games. And I just, looking back on that year of Switch is almost incredible that they've been able to put out so many constant, even if some of them were ports, they were ports with all this extra stuff that was so good. Yeah, it was so good. Like that Mario Kart port is so much better than the original Mario Kart.
That's
8.
my second one, so I'll tag in on it. Is that not the A-list games, not Mario and Zelda, but I'll call them B-list, even though they're not. Really second seat to some of these, but like Xenoblade and now Bayonetta and now Mario Kart and
Mario and Rabbids, like and Splatoon 2 and ARMS.
Kind of the games that are the backup support to selling a system. Like you mentioned, Horizon sold a lot of PS4s to people, and I'm sure Mario and or Zelda sold a lot of Switches to people. It's good that you just don't. That was my problem with the Wii, is that you bought it and you played Wii Sports, you maybe played a couple other games, and then it just sat and collected dust. Wii U, same thing. There's like like 10-month gap between each game. It felt like where
Yeah.
it would just collect dust again.
Yeah.
This one you at least have. I mean, stuff like ARMS is way better than just like a crappy, just like a sports game or something they just threw out there just to be like, hey, this is innovative. Like it was actually a really good game. And yeah, just some of these B-list games or games that don't get the 97s and above on Metacritic, really good, and it helps carry the system and make it still relevant and something people want to talk about and go, oh yeah, I remember owning a Switch. I'm sure there's people still playing it every day.
For sure.
I feel like this system really like reinvented Nintendo, like kind of brought it back into the headlines, which is really cool.
For sure.
And unlike a lot of the new systems, I feel like the new, Marios and Zeldas and things like that, the majority of them that came out on this were really innovative to the series. They were really cool. Obviously they got good reviews. As much as I bash on Nintendo and the Switch, I think
not doing that this episode.
Yeah, not doing that this episode, but yeah, I just felt like they did a great job reinventing their name with the system and the games.
For sure, especially after their whole Wii U thing, people were very confused about what it was. Switch comes out, they're like, "This is what it is," and it's awesome.
Very easily killed Nintendo if it was bad.
It
could have systems
could have hurt them really bad. Yeah, and I remember I have a video up that's my reaction to the conference, and I like everything I react to. I'm like, they're doing their games, and I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Launch game, I'm like, oh, it's coming out in spring. Yeah. Launch game, not even a release date. Like I was just disappointed by the announcements, and then I remember Splatoon 2 came out, and I was like, man, I want it. Yeah. I'm going to go buy it. And I bought it. And I really liked the thing. As soon as I click, there's something so satisfying about that click when you put on those Joy-Cons. And as soon as I did that, I was like, okay, I'm very content with this purchase.
I'm hyped for these cardboard cutouts,
man. Next up, let's talk about Xbox. Some positives for Xbox. We were talking about how they seem to be getting kind of the short end of the stick. And I agree. Because they've done
just game-wise,
they've done a lot of cool stuff this generation with their console. I mean, they changed the whole console to be fair. Yeah. So let's talk some positives about the Xbox. And I sure at least one of you has this, but my first one's the backwards compatibility.
That helped a lot.
Coming out saying, we've heard you. We made our system backwards compatible with Xbox 360 games, and everybody lost their mind, and rightfully so, because there is no way that was in the cards. They absolutely re-engineered everything that they needed to do and got that emulation going and did that because they had their backs against the wall, and that was huge. And then to come out the next year or the year after and be like, and now original Xbox games are also coming to backwards compatible. And now they're like, and now we're enhancing the games that are coming. Like, that is such a... Like, why would you throw money out the window when you don't have to type thing?
Right.
And they did it, which is really cool of them. So that's not even close.
Something I'll kind of branch off there is that even though they get hard-headed sometimes and they really want to push an idea or an innovation that they just have, that they had some meeting about, and I'm sure someone really loved it, as much as they get kind of in that one train of thought, they still listen to the outcry. So anytime you make a misstep, whether it's like maybe your second version of the game or the third version of the series had a misstep, the best thing to do is to go back and see what people liked and reinvent it, or whatever, make a remaster of it, or just kind of do the same things that got you to where you need to be. Because obviously Xbox pretty good as far as most people are concerned. 360, aside from Red Ring of Death, I don't think I've ever heard negatives against it. People just loved it. Especially the arcade and stuff like that. So obviously with the Xbox One taking a little bit of a dip in popularity, they went back and said, okay, what made Xbox good? What made 360 good? And they listen. So that's always good with companies, is that, they have a team of people, like I said, even though they get hard-headed and they want to make this a media platform, or they want to make it a Connect platform, they still eventually listen and say, okay, these people are right, this is what people want, and we'll do that.
Yeah, and on top of the backwards compatibility thing, the fact that they're still supporting it, it wasn't like, hey, here's 100 backwards compatible games, bye. They're like, and here's 10, and here's 5 more, and here's 4 more, and here's 10 more. They keep it going.
And like I said, they could be clearly relevant games. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Like the ones that were just announced earlier in the news section that we did. And also something I'll add to what I just said is that they're usually quick in responding and going back to something that fans want. It's not like now it's 2018 and they're just now starting to do backwards compatibility where it feels like it's like a last like clinging to life sort of thing to survive. But yeah, they're usually fast to respond.
So one thing I really liked about the Xbox One was when I first got it was I liked the like user interface. I thought it was like really unique. I thought it was kind of fresh. And I liked like
not on board with this one.
Yeah, I know Kevin hates this, but I really like it, and it's probably because I have a
Windows 8 computer.
Yeah,
and phone
and a phone at the same time. Like I was just using all this at the same time, so it's cool that all my stuff was connected, like my phone, my Xbox, and my computer. I think the party system is really cool in Xbox. I can just like kind of click on someone and see what they're playing. I can like join up on them from the party system. I thought they did a really good job. Other things have copied that since the release of Xbox One, but I think on release they did a really good job with that, and I think they've done a good job with just their online systems in general with the Xbox One.
The online or the user interface, the original one that launched. If you already had Windows 10, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, okay, I know how to use this. If you're still on Windows 7 or just don't use Windows, then it was real confusing.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I had Windows 10, so it was just like, this is awesome.
My next Xbox One is specifically talking about controllers. So they've done the like controller design lab, I believe it was called, which is another really cool thing that allows you to design your own controller kind of any way, any color. You can change like a whole bunch of stuff on the controller. You can get your gamer tag imprinted on it. And then they went above and beyond by at events having codes that you could pick up. So if you went to Gamescom, you could go and pick up a code, and then if you typed that in when you went to the website to design your own controller, it would put Gamescom whatever on it, and the only way you could get that on your controller is if you were at that event. Like that is a really cool idea. On top of that, they had the Elite controller, which is arguably the best controller ever made.
Oh, it's amazing.
So that is another really cool thing that once again, I feel like they're like, okay, hardcore gamers, I know you like designing your things and stuff, and I would love if anybody would rip that off. Like Nintendo designed some Joy-Cons, Sony
that aren't $80.
They would be more than that.
Not that $80 is a bad thing. We're complimenting, right? So.
Sony designed a DualShock.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is such a cool thing to do and allow, and just have a team that is putting together these custom controllers. It reminds me of like the Van shoes. I'd always like design Van shoes on their website because it was cool.
Nikes,
I'd never order them, but I'd design them.
And you also forgot to mention the best controller coming back this month, the Duke controller. So
I don't
keeping
think
them alive.
I mean, I guess it's officially licensed, but I don't think that's
Oh,
actually
it
them.
is.
Yeah.
I was also going to mention accessories, and this dates all the way back to original Xbox stuff. I've really always dug like even their basic like headsets, controllers, just everything. But I guess to jump away from that, I really like how well of a media platform this thing is. Once you figure out the user interface and all of its iterations from the firmware updates and all that, navigating from like Blu-rays to YouTube, like I really enjoy how much of a media machine this thing is. Obviously,
it plays every format of video basically, which is really nice.
I've always had a cable box for stuff like that, but now that I don't, if I used it for TV, if I watched TV, like I would use it through the Xbox just because of how easy it is to do so. And I really like that it's so hyped up on media, whereas I feel like Nintendo Switch, obviously not there yet. Wii U had some good implementations of other
Fun fact,
platforms.
I bought a Wii U off the back of it linking to your Hulu and Netflix account because they had that thing where you could browse on the tablet for a movie and it would tell you every platform that movie was available on.
That's cool.
And if you had it. So if I wanted to watch, whatever, American Dad, I could search American Dad and it'd be like, it's not available on Amazon, it is available on, Netflix, it's not available on Hulu, and it like searched all of your services and made a list. And I was like, man, that's really cool, and I never used it for the Wii U.
I feel like it's a little more streamlined on Xbox One versus Switch, where it's not there yet, and PlayStation, where it's a little bit clunkier to get to, but it's still not like backbreaking if you want to go into YouTube or any of the other little platforms. But I think it's best on Xbox.
Todd.
So another thing I like about Xbox, it's kind of with the user interface, but streaming on the system is like extremely easy. it's really accessible to.
They added that whole mixer thing,
especially once 1440p output comes out.
That's gonna be sweet. But it's cool that I can, even if I want to link this to my PC, like stream through my PC through my Xbox, it's extremely easy. There's not a lot of steps to go through to do this.
Do they have what is that called? Yeah, it's not DRM, but it's like DCP. Is it the thing that blocks all the media stuff so that you can't stream it? Do they have that on Xbox? I don't know because I've never streamed through Xbox.
You can do that through your PC.
You can like disable it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it's cool that I can like play games and like listen to Spotify, like Nick was saying. The multimedia system is awesome on this. But just for streaming purposes in general, it is really cool. I bought a Kinect, never used it, started streaming, love the Kinect.
Oh yeah, as a camera.
Yeah, worked really well.
That brings up pain because I always wanted to play Final Fantasy 15, stream it, and listen to like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, just because it felt right.
Yeah.
But PlayStation wouldn't let you. Microsoft
you can't stream and do Spotify at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least back then. I think you can now because I think I remember that update hitting, and I was just like, oh, I wanted this back then.
You're an idiot. All right, PlayStation 4. Todd, I'm going to start with you for this one because there's one that I want to make sure gets said. And
okay, PlayStation 4. I think my biggest compliment to the system is their original titles on the system have been insane.
I have just for mine, I have a list of just the exclusive things, and the amount that they have from Persona and Uncharted and Infamous and Bloodborne
so
and
many
Ratchet and Clank,
good exclusives.
Until Dawn, Gravity Rush, and Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
and
it's been
everybody's.
I'll let you go on this more because
no, that's not the one. I just
okay.
That was one of mine.
But I think it's just been insane, and I've never been a huge PlayStation fan. I've had a PS1, a PS2. A PS3, but
I've had all the systems.
I've had
a PSP.
No, I'm the same way. I've had every Nintendo console. But
but I've never been
Nintendo hater. I guess
I've always been this crazy Xbox fan.
Sure.
But I mean, this is the first time where I've actually wanted to play all these games, but I just don't have the system because I spent $1,000 on a PC. But I think that's probably my favorite part of the PlayStation is just the quality of games is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jumping over to me. They just did everything that the 360 did right, and they've built upon that. They really did. What I just talked about a few minutes ago, looking at past missteps, past glory, I guess, and then making a misstep and saying, how did we get here, sort of thing, and kind of reflecting on that, and then making improvements. They saw obviously I know PS3, 360 was kind of the hottest of the console wars for the most part.
The internet emerged in the middle of that.
So obviously the 360 did really well in a lot of people's eyes, and they said, okay, what does the system do? It had party support. It had better online, because back then PSN was kind of a joke because it still allowed dial-up.
The party chat.
Yeah,
it's trash.
It was huge.
It is trash. That's what I'm saying. But it was compliment time.
Was trash.
But they looked back at that and they said, okay, what did PS3 do? That was good. Had pretty decent games, had a good controller, and what did the Xbox do? They merged everything that hardcore gamers wanted, and put out all the shooters. They put out all of the internet options and stuff like that, and they just really made a really good wholesome system. Whereas a lot of systems, maybe the Wii party game system, but what's the lineup look like? And if someone like Kevin and I make a top 10 list, we're but this one, the PS4, it's easy to do that. And there's so many things to complement. So I think it's one of the most rounded systems as far as there's really not too many knocks against it, sort of thing.
For my first one, I'm going to throw out SharePlay. Sure. And this is why I'm so excited for the Xbox thing. I use SharePlay literally 3 or 4 times a week. I love that feature. The fact that you can play somebody else's game. You can try it before you buy it. You can play games that don't have online. So, I don't know, Nidhogg has online. But you have an indie game that's got, split screen or something. You can SharePlay and play it together. Or you can SharePlay and give the person the controller and let them play for you. It's such a good feature just for I don't feel like playing anything. Do you want to play something? I'll hang out and party chat and talk to you while you're playing, or maybe give you tips if you're having trouble with a game. Maybe you're playing Bloodborne and you're like, man, this game's hard. Get my friend on SharePlay, let them see what I'm doing wrong, and let me kind of coach them or help them through it. Like, it's been so useful, and like almost every game that I've SharePlayed to people have gone out and bought. You know, like they're like, wow, that was really cool, and then they buy it, and then they SharePlay it with their friend, like it's helping. And I'm actively actually like turned off by games that don't have SharePlay. Like the like Persona 5 made me mad. I know they were super afraid of spoilers for that game, but Sega like locks all their games from SharePlay, and the one that like really got me was Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Sure.
Because I'm like, I just want to play Tetris for somebody.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. But yeah, the whole idea of streaming your like a kind of private stream of a game to somebody for them to watch, play with you, co-op, or take over the controller and play through something like Edith Finch is awesome and super helpful. And like I said, if Microsoft starts doing that, like it seems like they're going to, I'm absolutely going to be checking out way more games on that system.
Okay, so next for me, I think PlayStation, especially the PlayStation 4, has one of the better like video game communities that I've ever seen. Just like with the system itself, the community, they do such a great job of just keeping in touch with the community and kind of giving the community what they want over and over and over again.
Yeah, they do a lot of like weekly.
They do.
Like, hey, this is what's coming.
Even
hey,
if you look at like what's coming out, like these are.
Oh, I was just about to say, hey, in 1 year we're getting rid of the PS3 and PS Vita games. Everybody,
yes.
Here you go. Here's the news.
But even the community itself has just like been, really great about like, praising these games like in a good way, or
purchasing them,
purchasing the games. Just like when I play online with people in the PlayStation, it feels like a different experience.
Nobody talks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
you don't. There's two options. You either don't hear anything, or you get yelled at, and you get to pick what console you want for
that's
that.
fair. That's very, very true. I don't know what it is about the Xbox, but
Makes
we're not
people
going
want
to
to yell at
Yeah, people do a lot of screaming on that system. But yeah, something about the PlayStation community is just like, it's amazing. It's really cool to see this system continue to grow and sell, and yeah, it's sweet.
I feel like they're leading the charge right now as far as consoles go. I won't say they're the most innovative because that's kind of Nintendo's thing, but I think their success rate with their risks is higher than the other consoles. As far as some of the like titles they go after, they really try to chase down exclusivity, at least timed, if not permanent. Obviously, there's a big hitter coming up this month for free that you can go after. Spider-Man is another one where, maybe it's not the biggest deal in the world to go after Spider-Man to get it exclusive, but it's going to win over a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
then like the stuff that's like console, like Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think they are kind of leading the charge, and Xbox is always kind of having to follow behind them. Nintendo, in some regards, kind of having to follow behind them, and yeah, they're leading the pace, and they're like not really dropping off. I know there was a thing around the turn of the year where maybe sales started to dip, but it's kind of expected.
That's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't stepped on their own toes yet, which is impressive. Because usually at some point the big, the one that's doing so well and has been the top dog for years and stuff, usually they do something to make themselves look really stupid.
It's hard to stay on top.
And the only thing that they've kind of done is that PlayStation Pro conference was not good. And that is like the first thing that they've done. But then the Pro came out and people, through word of mouth, kind of started correcting that conversation.
Yeah, maybe not have technical essays as your...
That was silly.
So my next one is PlayStation VR. This is a big one for me. I actually started doing the exclusive game thing, and I was like just writing down exclusive games, and then I noticed like 3 of them were VR games. I'm like, wait a minute, let me just talk about VR some more. The fact that not only did VR, they made it a fair price. They made it a price that people were kind of okay with, and now like
in comparison to other VR systems.
Yeah, well, people wanted that price. Like that's the price people were like, I'm not buying it unless it's this.
Right.
And like the fact that it's $200 right now, which is insane.
It is.
And then on top of that, the support for the PlayStation VR. You know, we're over a year
getting there.
over, and we are still getting announcements. They're, you know, they've announced some first-party games that are coming out for VR. Like, that is huge. Bethesda's jumping on board and helping them out. Like,
they're killing it on the
Talk
VR.
about leading the charge. They might be the only person in the group running forward, but man,
That's
they're
insane.
spearheading it.
yeah,
That's
like
crazy.
the fact that Sony was willing to, one, take a risk with VR, and two, keep it going, you know, is just awesome. And I'm excited because this almost guarantees that PlayStation 5 is going to have like the built-in box for VR where you just plug in the headset
That would
and
be
you
awesome,
can,
yeah.
you know, you just buy the headset. You don't need any sort of breakout box or all these cables. Like, it's just one thing. And that'll be really cool. So
I've got another one. I think out of the three, it's the best value for the $400 or $500, whatever that you spend. I think it's the best value because it's arguable, I guess, to some people, but I think it's got the best array of games right now because it also has the fun kind of platformy games. It has the open world kind of action adventure, but then it's just got story-laden games. It's got awesome indie games. It's got everything for the most part on there. So I think it's the best bang for your buck compared to the other two.
it's fair.
Another one for PlayStation, I would say. I don't know why PlayStation get on this, but they have like great support for indie games, and they have a lot more indie games than the other ones.
That was their PlayStation 3 thing. I think they made a lot of friends on the PS3 because they were, you know, losing that battle,
sure.
and they made a lot of like good, I think like good partnerships through there that have just carried through to PlayStation 4.
Yeah, in a lot of aspects, I think PS4 has done a lot of things right. So it's really cool to see that.
Check out next week when we talk about everything that they've done wrong.
Man, I hate PlayStation.
All right, let's move into the releases and then get out of here. Some interesting releases. First off, Bravo Team for PlayStation VR coming March 6th. This is the like Army of Two player aim controller PlayStation VR game. Very interested in this one because it's done by Supermassive, I believe. Now I'm questioning myself, but they did Until Dawn. Excellent. They did Until Dawn Rush of Blood. Very good VR game.
Yeah, fun.
They did The Inpatient, which is meh. And now I'm wondering of that spectrum what game this is going to be. You know, where is that going to fall?
Just looking at it, I think it'll be very fun.
It looks, fun is the word I was going to.
Yeah.
It looks really fun, but there's a lot of stuff. How many missions are there? How's the AI? That's a huge thing for shooters. Like, is the AI stupid or is it like Halo where it's like adaptive and smart? Like, all that stuff matters a lot. So I'm excited for Bravo Team. I'm going to be, keep my eye closely on this one.
I'll play with it.
I'm hoping you're just not in VR. You'll use the controller and I'll use the headset. We'll figure something out. Gosh, that would make you really sick. So I'm hoping it's, obviously a home run, but we'll see. Next up, Final Fantasy 15, the Royal Edition.
Ooh, buy this.
PS4, Xbox One, PC, also coming March 6th.
I just saw that coming on a PC.
Yeah, this is the debut on PC.
Correct.
And it is the game with the season pass, all of its stuff, and additional content, and all the changes that they've made. And apparently there's more stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah,
that is a lot.
This was weird because not a lot of releases pop up on my. Usually it's just Xbox exclusives that pop up on my like actual bar.
Oh my gosh! So story time. I was playing something and I had like the Xbox on in the background, and I like went to the home screen and I just sat there and it kind of bombarded. Like there's a lot of ads that just like pop up when you're not doing anything. I don't know what that's about. But I was sitting there and like 7 times stuff popped up and it's like, play Fortnite now.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. 1, you don't know me very well. And 2, why does this happen? I've never seen this feature before. But anyway, keep going. You saw Royal Edition pop up on your...
I did, yeah. And I was like, oh, cool. But it was just odd that they were like promoting it so much, like Xbox itself. So.
Well,
It's
it was on Xbox's stage as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But it was also on Sony's stage. And that moment still at E3 has always baffled me.
Super weird.
Where the same game the same year was on both stages. I was like, huh. I don't know if any other game's ever done that.
Super weird. But I'll probably buy this. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. My only knock against it, now that we're past the compliment stage, is that it didn't have best DLC ever with the fish.
Oh yeah, that is strange that the PlayStation version doesn't have the PlayStation VR experience that's titled Final Fantasy 15 Monsters of the Deep or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like that is strange. Because honestly, if it had that, I would probably buy this.
Yeah.
I'd probably get rid of the copy I have.
It's still insane value, and if you get it on the PC, it's gonna look
man,
tremendous.
I'm excited about it.
Like it's a benchmark kind of game in some regards as far as PC goes, but I don't know. It's really good value. So
I'm more excited to look at it than play it.
you'll like it.
Next up is Frantic's PlayStation 4, coming March 6th. I don't know when that is. Scribblenauts Showdown is coming to the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, March 6th. This is a game I'm kind of curious about getting on the Switch, because have you ever played the Scribblenauts games?
Seen it, not played it.
They're cool.
Not bad.
They're a cool concept for a game. I assume this is like a versus type thing because it's called Showdown. That sounds like a fun time to me. So I might keep my eye on this one, make sure that it's, a good Scribblenauts game, and then I might get it because I'm actually starting to look towards things for the Switch that I can bring to my millennial parties. I'm trying to get some I'm trying to get some party games for the Switch because I have like Monopoly, and then it's mostly been like single player stuff.
Yeah, in between.
So funny about
rounds
Monopoly,
of,
man.
In between rounds of basketball, I'm looking for something to fill that void. So
Next up, Fear Effect Sedna is coming to the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC March 6th. So Fear Effect has a couple releases coming out this year, which is weird because that's not a series I think people thought would be back. This is every episode. This is not a remake, but the remake is coming later this year. This seems to me like a Hitman Go, Tomb Raider Go, that like more tactical style game. Sure. So if you like the Fear Effect world, there you go.
Not excited about it.
And that is it. Positive.
I'm really excited about it.
And that is it for the releases for this week. Pretty good week of releases, actually. And then there's all the little things that I don't put in there, and then people are like, you didn't talk about that. And I'm like, yeah. I missed Moss last week because they kind of had like a sneak release thing where they announced it like 6 days before that it was coming.
That game already came out.
Yeah, and it wasn't on my list. And I was like, oops, that was a big mistake. Yeah, because it's a pretty big game. That was coming out.
Releases are starting to matter more now that we're getting into March.
Yeah, there's a website that has like all of them, but they always have like every little thing, so it'll be like update whatever for this, and I'm like, man, I don't want to go through this list.
Gun skins for
it'll literally be like a list of 80 things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going through this. I'm just gonna go to the Game Informer, and you can yell at them if they're wrong because that's where I get the list from. So, but anyway, that's it for this episode of the Press X Podcast. Thank you for being here, Todd.
Fuck you, Nintendo.
Thank you for being here, Nick.
I think you meant bless you, Nintendo.
Did they sneeze?
No, they do good stuff.
And thank
Bless you for doing well.
so much for watching. We'll speak with you next time.